Well, hello, y'all. I'm back again with another video for the Hidden Woman Within. I ran into a few little difficulties these last 2 weeks, so you haven't seen a video uploaded this past Tuesday or last Tuesday because I had a job that I was working on that took a little longer than expected. But I'm here now. So, if you are returning listener, viewer, welcome back. If this is your first time here, welcome in. I'm learning how to do this thing now, so you can like, share, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. Now, if y'all remember in the beginning, I said that I wasn't here for the likes and the dislikes. It is your absolute choice if you want to give it a thumbs up or a thumbs down, or you want to leave a comment. They would all be welcome. It really doesn't, matter, but your prerogative. So I started recording yesterday, and in the middle of recording, my phone just like, not today, you're not. It said I didn't have enough storage, so I had to clear some stuff out. And so if I look a little different again today, it's because I'm using my tablet. And my prayer is that it doesn't quit on me in the middle of the video. I'm not going to be before you long today. But I wanted to make sure that I got a video on before this week was out. So one of my videos, I talked about my earliest childhood memory. And if you remember, if you watched it, I said I had two. And I only talked about one. And that was when I was in kindergarten and I lost my voice for a little while. The earliest memory I had, I was somewhere between 3 and 4 because I wasn't in school. And I'm going to share that. And the reason that I'm sharing childhood memories is because we're either traumatized by them or, we just have good memories. And I have both. And I'm glad that my very first memory was a good one. And then the second earliest memory was, when I was in kindergarten. And that affected my life into my adulthood. And, but obviously I've made some changes since then. I am a born again believer, so some changes were necessary. And there were changes that were made on my behalf just because of the goodness of God. So, I want to tell you about the earliest memory, and then I want to tell you why I'm sticking here with the childhood memories and how they affect us. I got a phone call a couple weeks ago, and I was talking to one of my sisters, and I was kind of surprised at the conversation. So you just never know how those childhood memories are affecting people. So let me go into my first memory. Like I said, I was somewhere between 3 and 4, and I wasn't in school. And we lived out in the country, and we actually lived right next door to my grandparents. And oh goodness, we had my mind went blank for a split second, just for a split second. They actually owned 3 houses. There was 2 houses right next to each other, and then there was a path that went up to another house that we called the house on the hill because it's set on the hill, and we could go through a path to get there, which to this day, I'm not an outdoor girl, and I'll tell you why. Then the other way to get to it was from the driveway, was from the main street, which was Texas Avenue. No, it was called Texas Road. A little ironic that I now live in Texas. So if you would go up the driveway, and it was kind of steep, and I remember having that not gravel, but there was like white stones in there. And so the name was right, House on the Hill. And it was a beautiful home. And when you came up into the driveway, you actually came to the back of the house. And at the back of the house, there was 2 great big cherry trees right in the middle of that backyard. And it was a circular driveway. And there was always a ladder up against that tree. And so you could climb the ladder and go pick some cherries. And so I was outside one day, and I climbed the ladder, and I was picking cherries. And then all of a sudden, I looked up and I saw my dad pull up into the driveway. So this little snippet of information about that is my parents were not married, and I did not grow up in a house with my father, but I had a relationship with my father. So when I saw him and he got out of the car, I jumped down out of that tree and I went running. It reminds me of like some of these movies, these really, running through the lily fields type movies. But I ran and jumped into his arms and he picked me up and just twirled me around in the air. And it was just a good time and it's a good memory. And I have a good memory of my father, where that's concerned. So I'm glad that the first memory was a good one. And then the second memory, like I said, was about the in kindergarten when my voice was stolen. But the point that I want to get at today is one of my sisters, and I have a lot of sisters, both mother side and father side. And one of my sisters, she called and we were just talking. And I just began to talk about some things about, I'm trying to put this where I'm not sharing everything that we talked about because her privacy is important. So we started to share some things, and I had said to her, I searched and I searched and I searched to try to find in my heart if I was holding anything against my mother. And I've done that because I want to make sure my mother is in heaven with the Lord. That I know for sure. I wanted to make sure that there wasn't anything that I was holding against her or my father. I'm so grateful to report that the answer is absolutely not. There wasn't anything that my mother ever said or did to me that caused me to have issues with her to this day at my age. But I do know people that are in that place in their life, that they are holding on to things that their parent did or didn't do for them. I don't really understand that because I'm like, to me, none of us are born with a manual. And so you just have to rely on the grace of God just to raise your children. And that's exactly what I did. I relied on the grace of God to raise my children. Was I a perfect parent? Absolutely not. But I'm going to use the word term. Am I proud to say that, me and Jesus did a really good job in terms of my children? I have 4 working adults that are not a menace to society. 3 of which, I think 2 are actual business owners. And one of my other son, he's a company man. He's got a job that requires a whole lot of attention and being detailed, which is one of the reasons why I call him Mr. Meticulous. He drives a car carrier, where they carry those cars and he delivers those cars. But both my boys are living the dream that they always want. They always wanted to drive those rigs. And so I can say that I am proud of that. I am. Jesus, if without him, I don't know where we would have wound up. And like I said in one of my other videos, it wouldn't have been any place nice. So anyway, to go more into that, my sister, she shared that she had a different viewpoint, and that was fine. And so she went on to tell me that that I was her mother figure when she was growing up. And I told her, I said, I do not remember that. Because at the age of between, say, 10 and 12, I was the one doing all the cooking, the cleaning, because my mom was a nurse and she was gone most of the time. When she was home, she would sleep. And then there was those times that she had when she wanted to go out, and she did that. I don't remember how often she did that, but she didn't have a whole lot of downtime for herself. You raising, I think at the time it was, let me see, 1, 2, 3, 4. I think it was 6 of us. And so I had an older sister, and normally that responsibility falls on the oldest child. But my sister be like, when mommy leave, I'm out of here. And that's exactly what she did. We used to go to the back door. I learned how to do it too. She would go to the back door, look to see where my grandmother was, and beeline it to the end of the yard. Because once we got over to the next yard, which was, Miss Mabel's yard and Pop's yard, we could get to the other side to Texas Road, and we could hit down the road and be gone. And so it took me a little while to, but she learned, she taught me how to get out too. Excuse me. But in the meantime, I was home, and Cooking and cleaning was something that I did. My mother, she she ain't here, and it's not any secret. And my mother was not a good cook. Oh, but she could cook some grits now. Now Alice can put her foot down on some grits. But so far as a good cook, no, because she was gone all the time, and so she would tell me what to do. Like if she would take hamburger meat out of the freezer, and once it thawed out, she would just tell me, Charlotte, put salt, pepper on it, make meatballs and fry them in the pan, put this much oil in them or whatever, and I would do that. Well, I tell you what, they never looked like hamburgers when I got done with them. But we had something to eat. And one of my specialty meals was hamburgers, rice, and green peas because it was the easy meal to cook. Then the other thing my sister she shared with me, she said, nobody to this day could tell me that you didn't invent hamburger meat and pork and beans. Because I used to open up a can. I would cook the hamburger meat, like scramble it up, cook the hamburger meat and put it in the beans and add sugar. And even as an adult, I enjoyed that. I mean, I don't eat it now because that's just too much sugar. But still, if I ever get the mood for it, yes, I will. I will make it in a minute. So, so she shared that with me. Then the other thing she said that she shared, she said, "You are the one that taught me how to clean." And I was like, I don't remember. She said we used to have a rug. You know, we didn't have wall to wall carpet. We would have an area rug. And I used to watch my grandmother clean hers. My grandmother would get a pan of water and then dip the broom in the water and sweep the rug. And then when she got done, she would get another thing of water and put ammonia in it. And then she would put her mop in it and she would actually clean the rug. And it always looked fresh and clean. Now, I know that may sound a little crazy to some of y'all, but that's the way things were done back then. So she just began to share some things with me that I had no idea. So I asked her one day, I said, "Did I ever beat you up?" She said, "No, you weren't like that." And I'm so glad that, her memories of me were good ones. That they were no memories that I did her any harm. So I'm grateful for that. So, one of the things that, how do these memories affect you as adults? Some of them can affect you in a negative or a positive way. Some of them could affect other people in a negative or positive way because of how you may conduct yourself according to what happened to you, not being fully aware that that's what's happening. Okay, so as an example, like when I was saying when I lost my voice, I didn't realize my being quiet, me being withdrawn and turned in, I had no idea that came from what happened to me when I was in kindergarten. But I did come into the realization one day that that's where that came from. That's why I acted the way that I did because of what happened to me then. And to me, I just feel like once you come into the knowledge of things, you're accountable for that. So if I just continue to be withdrawn and not talk to people, I know some people wish you would be quiet. I'm not. So, it wouldn't be a good thing for me to just remain there. So we've got to change. We've got to grow. So I don't know if I shared this before, but one of the other things that I remember was, and I think I shared this in a video, but I'm going to use it in a different way today. So when we were kids, we had to stay outside. And, we had no indoor plumbing. And so we had a well not far from the house. And then at the end of the yard, there was an outhouse. So if you got thirsty, the well was over there. If you had to go to the bathroom, outhouse down there. My grandmother, when it was lunchtime, would make peanut butter and jelly sandwiches, put them on a plate, call us to the back door. We grab our sandwich. And she had a dipper. It was a little pot that I have now today. I had that pot. She used to dip water out this white 5-gallon bucket and give us water to drink in these little cups. So there was times when my grandfather would come home. They had a garden. He'd come home and he'd go and he would get a watermelon out the garden. And he'd cut it. They had those picnic tables out there. And so all of us kids was outside. My sisters and brothers and a few of our cousins that lived down the street from us. And so we're sitting outside and we're eating watermelon in summertime. And watermelon juice is running down your arm because they were juicy. Watermelon is full of water. And then you got the seeds. You got to spit the seeds out. And then there's the flies because they're drawn to that. And so the thought of that, even today, just like, I don't eat watermelon to this day because of that. I mean, when I was a kid, I ate it. I don't even like the texture of watermelon in my mouth. But does my not liking watermelon affect anybody other than me? No, it doesn't even affect me. I just don't want it. Because as a person, there's things that you eat and that you don't eat because you don't like it. Well, watermelon's one of the things for me. And grits. Grits was like a staple. Honey, my grandmother, now that's one thing my mother could cook. Alice could make some grits. And so we always had grits in the morning for breakfast. I mean, very seldom did we have cereal, but most of the times we had grits. And I have a cousin who used to tease me all the time, but tease my kids. Some Charlotte's kids chase their grits around the plate with a straw until I learned how to make them. He can't say that now. But anyway, I still enjoy grits. Sometimes grits don't agree with me, depending on how I make them, because I know, in different places they make them different ways. Like I hear them talk about shrimp and grits here in Texas. I've never had them. Not gonna knock it. I don't know that I want to try it, but I'm just saying. I don't mind shrimp and I like grits. But I remember one time making a pot roast and had some gravy left over, and one morning just made some grits and just decided to put that meat on the plate. Honey, let me tell you something. Yes, it was good. It was very, very good. Would I make that today? Yes, I would. So, but then there's other memories as a kid that I had that weren't so pleasant. And the thing about that is I tried to pay attention to the things that I do that may have a root from someplace else. They talk about generational curses. Well, I'm a born again believer and the curse has been broken. So I don't deal with generational cursing. What about the blessings that we've come into? And by the way, I want to say this. Hidden woman within is by no means just a place for me to come and tell you my business. It's not. I explained before in a couple of other videos, I know that this is what I'm supposed to be doing in this season. And it's not so much what I came out of as much as what I came into. And I'm going to share all of that. But, some people say, oh, you don't need to dig into your past. You need to leave that. No. That might not be what you feel like you need to do. Or, I always feel like the Lord deals with us all. What he does for one, he'll do for another. But if you have 4 children, you don't treat all 4 children the same way because you got 4 different temperaments and personalities that you're working with. So if you got a child that's a very introvert, you're not going to deal with that same child that's an introvert in the same way you would deal with that child that's an extrovert. And I hope that makes sense, because our Heavenly Father, like I said, he has no respect of person, but in the way that he deals with us as individuals, I think that that's different. So in that same aspect, when the Lord tells me something, it's not for you to say to me, oh, I don't believe that. Well, you don't have to believe it. I mean, I know how the Lord instructs me to do things, and I know that this is what I'm supposed to be doing. Why? Because some of the stories that I share, and I say that one person's story is another person's survival guide. I saw that the other day on TBN. And it says one man's story. It said one man's story is another man's treasure. I thought that was pretty neat. Same stuff. So there may be a single mom that's watching me that may only have just one or two children and just feels like it's hard. Trust me, I know. There were days that I cried and just asked the Lord, how how long are they going to stay little? Because it was hard. I was a single parent for almost 16 years. When I say it was hard, it was hard. I remember having two kids in diapers at the same time because one was born in 76 and the other one was born in 77. And I didn't have money. And I made diapers out of pillowcases. And if I had a plastic bag. So don't tell me about hard times. Been there, done that, survived that. Thank God. Because, I mean, when I didn't even know him or have a relationship with him, I was praying. I didn't know that's what I was doing. You know, do it out of mental assent. Oh, you know, there's people that are not Christians, but the minute something happened, oh, Lord, help, you know, but they don't a bit more believe in God or really serve God in any kind of way. But that's the first thing that comes out of their mouth. That's probably their spirit crying out. And so I think at that time, that's exactly what was happening to me. It was just me crying out because I was in such a desperate position that I just wanted my kids to just grow up because I felt like if they got older, things would be easier. But then the other side of that was they grew up so fast. So fast. I remember I had one time I was working 3 jobs. 3. And then one time I just like I quit. I can't do it. I mean, I was working on Sunday, literally working 7 days a week, working 3 jobs because I refused to stay on welfare. And I'll share that because the Lord ministered to me about that and I shut it down. I sure did. And I thank the Lord for that. You know, I'm glad that it was there. I hear people talking about, oh, they can't work this, that, and the other. And I'm like, no, that's not the case. There's a lot of people that might be on this system. And it's not that they're lazy. I'm not saying that there aren't lazy people on the system because there are, because people will always abuse the system if they can. Some people will, not everybody. I'm not going to put a blanket on that. But I didn't abuse the system. It was there when I needed it. And I thank God that it was there when I needed it. And then when I no longer needed it, you know, and I was able to raise my children just by going to work. And, you know, and by the grace of God, I'm going to always say by the grace of God, that's how I got through what I got through. And so because they grew up so fast, what I started doing was buying dogs because they were like my babies. I'm over that now. I don't want no more dogs. You get too attached to them. I had 2 dogs, Cooper and Tucker, and I got attached to them. And, you know, after my ex-husband left, it was like, okay, you going to eat or the dog's going to eat. And I'm like, I think I'm going to feed myself. And I gave them to a good family, and that was the end of that. So, you know, those memories of coming up, those, like I said, I have good memories and not so good memories. But the not so good memories don't bother me to the point where, oh, you know, I've just never been that kind of a person. I'm not trying to tell you that I have arrived anywhere, that I got it all together, because I don't, because I'm still breathing. I was talking to my grandson, my firstborn grandson, a couple of years ago, and we were just talking, and he said to me, Nana, how do you do it? And I said, do what? I didn't know what he was talking about. Literally, I didn't. He said, you just keep going. You like the Energizer Buddy. And I realized that I've never had that well, I did have it in me. I was getting ready to say I never had it in me to give up. I did. But it wasn't because it was something I wanted to do. It was a spirit that I was dealing with. Spirit of suicide. And I'll share that with you on another day. So at this point, I'm going to say, first of all, I'm hungry and my lunch is in my toaster oven and it's smelling awful good. And so I just wanted to come on and just make sure that I shared something with you today, because I feel like when I'm not, that I'm being disobedient. And I just want to do what I'm supposed to be doing. And like I said, I'm not here just to tell you my business. I know that I'm supposed to be sharing my story because it's going to be a blessing to somebody, to some struggling single mother, to some woman that's maybe in an abusive relationship right now, to somebody that might be dealing with drugs right now. There's a way out of all of that stuff, and his name is Jesus. And I told y'all that I'm a born again believer, and you will begin to hear me talk about the word. I'm not ever going to delete that part, because I'm like, oh, they might not want to hear that. If you don't want to hear it, just keep scrolling. There's plenty of other stuff that you can be watching on YouTube, but when I get into that, I'm going to get into it, because I will to share you to will share with you my journey into Christianity. I wouldn't trade this life for anything in the world. And if I got down to the end of the road and they say I was wrong, well, I still would serve the Lord, even if there wasn't going to be any end result. But I know what's on the other side for me. So it is the holiday. It's November, and it's been cold here in Texas, and I mean really cold. You can see my sweater on the back of my chair. I'm not putting any heat on in here because when I put the heat on in my car, I couldn't breathe, so I had to turn the heat off and open the window. It was just a mess. But anyway, that's our weather here in Texas. So that's it. I'm done. I hope you all have a good evening. I will upload this video and post it on Facebook to let you know that I've uploaded the video. And if you're getting something out of it, you can leave a comment or give a thumbs up or give a thumbs down. I guess I'm human. I guess it probably would make a difference. But I did say that's not why I'm here. But if you want to leave a comment, give a thumbs up, give a thumbs down. I'm good with that. God bless you. Stay safe. And one person's story is another person's survival guide. God bless you.